Hi, Shannon. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again, juxtaposition of your very soul. So, first off, thank you for saying yes to be interviewed today. I truly enjoy talking to different people. And although most of my guests are from the US, because I am from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and
Oh,
I certainly really I don't know. I get the thrill of talking to all of you because simply I'm a type of person. I've gone through certain things in my life and I was kind of lost. So I think one way of me of trying to find myself, I know it's the work that I need to do by myself, but I guess I can find it. I can talk to people and see if they're undergoing the same thing. So welcome, Shannon.
thank you. It's great to be here.
Right. So my ritual to my listeners is that I would read a bit of their introduction to our listeners before we get down to business. So
Awesome.
yeah. So hi guys, we have Shannon Talbot here. She is a certified health, life, and transformational coach, a former corporate leader in the advertising and financial services industries. Shannon started her own coaching and speaking company to help working professionals live happier, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. Shannon has an MBA from the, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Schulich School of
You did?
Business,
Yeah.
and has been featured on CBC Radio and in today's parent, Chatelaine. I hope I'm pronouncing that right as well. Life Hack and Thrive Global. Shannon is the author of Breaking Free, your guide to creating the career and life of your dreams book, coming out in January 2024. Should be now. Shannon now lives in Toronto with her husband and two sons. So, welcome, Shannon.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for coming up. So excited. So, okay. Um, yeah, first off, which part of the world are you in now?
I live in Toronto now. I am
Right. Okay.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Toronto. Okay. Canada. Okay. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right. So,
Canada.
what was it like growing up as Shannon Talbot?
It was, you know what? I grew up in a small town of 8,000 people called Goderich, Ontario, which is basically across from Michigan for those that are in the US. I was on the other side of Michigan across Lake Huron. And it was really fun. It was, great small town. Uh, but as any kid, I had challenges with making friends, finding my circle, getting, made fun of, all of that stuff. So I kind of just threw myself into school. That was kind of my outlet. So threw myself into school, worked really hard. I also always had very high expectations of myself, set the bar really high to do well in school. And, but I also, I think I lived really authentic until grade 5. And then grade 6, that's when kind of the mean girls entered. And that's when my confidence started to waver a bit. And really when I think I started, occasionally changing who I was to people please or try to fit in and things like that. And so that was there, throughout my youth as well. Um, but then I really found an incredible group of friends in grade 11. And that was amazing. And that really helped. And they're still my friends today. And we're still super close. And it was a lot of fun. You can get into a lot of trouble growing up in a small town, but it's also a lot of fun.
Sorry, you broke up a bit when you said that you entered grade 6, and that's when the Mean Girls era started. So, did anything significant happen there?
You know what? It sounds so silly now, but when you're like that age, it seems so big, right? So, for example, I had, my last name before I got married was Pickell, but
Oh,
everyone called me Pickle. And so it'd be like different variations like baby dill, gherkin, like pickle. And at the
oh,
time, I hated it, right? I was like, oh, it's horrible. And it
right.
looks so silly now. But at the time, I just felt, I was getting picked on and things. I had hairy arms. So it was like hairy pickle and just things that didn't make you feel good, right? And I didn't look forward to getting up and going to school, you know, to see people. I love the school aspect of it, but it was like, oh, what are they going to call me today, or what's going to happen today, kind of thing. And that carried through for a few years.
Right. I'm so compelled to ask about your career, but which I will get into. But it seems like it's a very big thing. Bullying is a big thing in the US, yeah? And
Hmm.
it's like, how do you think that has impacted you now? I mean, now I think you're more aligned because you said you were living authentically until grade 5. And then I think you're
Hmm.
back on track. But that period, that bullying period, how did that impact you? This is like out of the
So
the whole
I think
yeah,
if
but this is
any,
just
like,
me being curious.
oh, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Um,
Yeah. So no, I was saying, how did that bullying, if it ever did, impact you personally and also in school?
right. So it's interesting because, I look at how bullying that happens today and it can
Mm.
be horrible, right? So I almost don't think I would. An outsider probably will say, yes, Shannon, you were being bullied. But to me, it was more, it was Mean Girls, but it wasn't,
It
I
wasn't
didn't
like,
feel
okay,
unsafe.
you got dragged in a corner and then
Correct.
there's like, okay,
Yeah,
give me your money, give me your
correct.
lunchbox.
I
Okay.
just, if anything, my experience was I just felt left out. And I
Right.
longed to be, this is probably more so what it was. I
To
longed to be in the popular group. It was
to
like,
be
how can I get in the
connected. Yeah.
popular group? Yeah, and we all have, one of our biggest needs in life is to have a sense of
Yes.
belonging.
Exactly.
And I guess that's what was missing for me. Was I had this missing sense of belonging with the my peers. And rather than, and the mistake, what I would encourage any young listeners like listening, don't worry about fitting in. Don't worry about getting in with the popular people. Don't change yourself to be one of them because it's never going to make you feel good on the inside, right? So for me, it was always like, it's horrible to admit this now, but I would actually be like, okay, I would do strategy sessions with myself. And it's like, how can I would be strategizing to become popular, to become in. And to be like, okay, what can I try this week? And what can I try that week? And you know what? Some of these strategies probably served me later on in navigating the corporate world and things like that. But but kids like should be able to show up as who they are and what they enjoy and things like that. So my outlets, I did get into acting. I did start writing in grade 5. That was really enjoyable. And I did have like a couple of really close, great friends who I probably should have valued more at the time than I did. But it was this whole like, ooh, I want to be popular, right? That was this driving force that I just thought, ooh, that's where it is. That's what I want in my life.
Right. And what wow, that is such, it's still prevalent at this point, especially with all social media. Like the need to be in trend or with the click, and if you're not, then but I also see a diversion of that where people just don't give a f because I'm gonna be myself, and like it or
Yeah.
not, this is me, which
Yeah.
I think it's really beautiful and progressive. And yeah, I really think that we're moving towards that as well, but of course a lot more work needs to be done, but at
Mhm.
least right. So
Yeah.
Shannon, why are so many people unfulfilled at work?
I think one of the biggest reasons is because we have this view of, what we should be doing once we become an adult. It's like, okay, I should
um
get that, I should have that stable job with a steady income so I can pay my rent and buy my groceries and, fulfill on the responsibilities I need to fulfill. But when we're little, we don't think about that, right? We don't think like, oh, I can't wait till I have money to pay rent one day. No, we're driven by, I don't think that ever went through my mind. We're driven by, oh, when I grow up, like I'd love to be this, right? I would love to do this. And we have big dreams. Like not everybody, but for the most part, we have big dreams when we're little. But then as we get older, either like parents or teachers or society or friends tell us, no, 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 those dreams are silly. You have to be more practical with your life. And, we get put into onto these career paths. And I think that's a big part of it. I think a lot of us maybe ended up in jobs that we didn't ever think, oh, this is what I'm going to do with my life. That's one step, but it's how we act when we're in our job. So the job may be what we wanted. We may love aspects of our jobs. And I certainly did throughout my corporate career. There were parts of my jobs I loved that lit me up, my coworkers, there were a lot of really great things. But I think too, and especially now with what's going on, there's a lot of fear, right? So there's people are losing their jobs left, right, and center. Stability in the job market isn't there anymore. So people are doing a lot of things out of fear. They're not speaking up. They're not raising their hand in meetings. They're not setting boundaries. They're not saying no or pushing back or asking for clarity to better understand what's being asked of them because they're afraid of being let go or not getting the promotion or not getting the raise. And so I think that's a lot of what's happening too, is people are afraid to really, be more authentic at work.
Oh, okay, I think we're gonna come back to that because I'm gonna ask like, how can one be authentic? But let's ask you first, what is a top mistake you made in your career? Can you share with us?
Sure. So I share one story I share in a book is I was actually picked when I was young. I was picked early on in my career to go to a conference, like a training slash conference program. And it was 6 days in Atlanta. And I was so excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, I get to go to the US and I get to do this course and I get to network with people. And I met people from all over the world. And it was really fascinating. It was in the finances and the payments industry, which maybe not doesn't sound as fun as glamorous, but it was awesome. And
I bet it was.
it was, and I went and I took pages and pages of notes because my boss at the time was like, and they invested in me. So
Yeah, so it's like
it was my
you
company
again, you have that
investing in me.
expectation. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You
and they're like, when you come back, we're going to want to know what you learned and blah, blah. And I was so excited. I'm an overachiever. So I took pages and pages of notes. I, I attended every single session because I was like, oh, I can't miss anything. And there was one other person from my department there who I didn't know very well, who was on a rotational program. And we got back, and I think a day after we got back, there was a meeting, a staff meeting. And the other person who was there stood up and gave a whole presentation on everything that they had learned at this training slash
offered.
conference session. And I sat there and went, wow, like I was so hurt that they did not tell me or that it wasn't a collaborative joint effort. And my boss was really disappointed too, because I basically lost the opportunity to showcase what I'd learned because it was done. It was taken. She didn't even mention I was there. And it was just kind of
Oh,
my first lesson of, in a way, being, whether it was an intentional or not, I felt backstabbed. And it
right.
was a lesson for me to be like, okay, I need to be more in charge of my career and more, proactive and showcase what I learn and all of this because no one else is going to do it for me. Right. So I think at the time my expectation was, well, why didn't she mention me? And why didn't she include me? And it's like, really, at the end of the day, it's not her job to progress my career, right? She was looking out for herself. And it made me realize, okay, people are looking out for themselves more often than we think. And I also decided in that moment, I will never backstab anybody or I'll never throw anyone under the bus. It's not a nice thing to do. But I would get better at self-promotion. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, self-promotion, moving forward, it's on me and I need to do it if I want to advance my career.
What did you do? Just promote yourself.
And it's, you know what, and a lot of my clients I work with today, it's hard, right? Self-promotion is hard. It feels icky,
It feels
you
like
know.
we don't deserve it. Like, why am I putting
Yes.
myself out there? I'm not good enough. Again, that's imposter syndrome talking. Flip the
Yes.
coin,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
So,
they're afraid they're going to look like they're bragging, right?
yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't want to look like I'm bragging. And especially for women, right? It's like, oh,
Women,
I don't want to
yes,
come
yes.
across as narcissistic and, all of this. And and I always joke, I'm like, if you're worried about it, you will never come across that way because those people don't worry about ever how they come across. So, um, but it's one of these things where I give an example of if you have a team, if you have a big team, it is not the leader's responsibility to know what every single person is doing on their own, right? It's up to the people to share with the leader what they're doing. The leader doesn't have time to go around and ask every single person, what are you doing? What are your updates? Blah, blah, blah. It's up to the individuals to be able to share with their manager who can then share up, what they're doing, what wins they've had, showcase their work. And in other words, I like to just say it's really great communication. So it's not bragging, it's communicating. It's letting people know what's going on, what you've been doing. And that's an important part of business and how we can, you know, promote and advance ourselves, but without it being so braggy and all about us,
On
right? It's more like
base.
we're helping out. Yeah, we're helping
Yeah.
out the other people by letting them know what's going on.
Right. So you've sort of adopted that strategy all the way to, I mean, throughout your career journey.
Correct. And even now, I have this book that's coming out or probably will have come out by the time, this airs. I have this book and no one's going to just be able to go, some people sure will look for it, but it is my job to promote my book. It's my job to let people know I've written a book, right? It's not just going to magically fall off a bookshelf and hit somebody in the face and they're going to buy it. No, they
Yeah.
have to know about it, right? Until you're like a uber well-known author where yes, people might seek your books, right? But otherwise, it's our job to promote things or else people will just never know about them. And in a way, sometimes it's we're doing a disservice if we don't share our gifts with other people.
Oh, I like that. We're doing a disservice if we do not share our gifts with other people. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
love that. That resonates so much. Okay, so I'm repurposing your questions. So there is a part here where you said your son was in the hospital, and then that was the point where you asked three questions that started your whole journey to where you are today. What were those three questions?
Mm-hmm. So just to give a bit of background, so when my oldest was 5, he had his appendix perforated. So
Oh,
shouldn't be a
sorry.
serious thing, but he ended up being in the hospital for 31 days over
Oh,
5 different visits. So in and out, he had 2 procedures, lots of antibiotics, and just it was a really, really um it became quite serious at the time. And so my husband and I took turns staying overnight with him in his hospital room. And that was the first time in my career where my career really had to take a back seat because I also had a 3-year-old at home who was
right.
scared that his brother was dying. Like he didn't know,
Oh,
right? He was 3. He just thinks hospital like bad.
yeah.
So my career, I was still working a bit, but it definitely, it took a bit of a backseat. My colleagues really helped out, jumped in and helped me. And in the, nighttime, my son would fall asleep and I'd just kind of be lying on the couch in his room. And I asked myself these 3 questions. Am I happy? Am I healthy? And do I feel fulfilled? And my answers were,
No, no,
not
no.
really. And then
Mm.
I felt immense guilt because on paper, everything looked so good. On paper, I looked like I should have it all, right? I had the house, I have the family, I have the dog, I have the job. I was very blessed. With everything in my life, I was so blessed. But there was still something missing. And I wasn't happy, I wasn't healthy, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled in the moment.
Wow. So, what happened after that?
So what happened after that? I was like, okay, time to change. Like, this isn't okay. I don't want to live my life with like being like, "Meh, okay, life's okay." I was not okay with that. I was like, no, no, no. I want to be saying a big heck yes to those three questions. So, and it was interesting actually, because during that time period, a friend of mine gave me, or not gave me, she told me about Michelle Obama's book, Becoming Michelle.
Becoming.
Becoming, yeah, not
Yeah.
becoming Michelle. Becoming at the time.
But it's
She told me
okay.
about the
Yeah.
book.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Becoming. And she told me, "Oh, I think you'll really relate." Sorry, there was just echo. Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So she told me about becoming, and I sorry, there's a big echo on my side.
Oh, really? Is that so?
Yeah.
Hello. Testing, testing. Still a big echo. Let me see. Right now? What about now? Still a big echo?
I think it was more when I was talking, but I think it's gone now. I think it's okay now.
Okay.
Okay. So I started reading Michelle Obama's Becoming, and she shared how she had been a corporate lawyer, doing really well, making really good money, but she didn't feel fulfilled. And so she gave herself permission to figure out, okay, what does she want to do with her career? And that was the first time. And at this point, I'd worked in banking for, oh, I don't know, I think it was 12 years or something at this point. And it was the first time where I told myself, oh my gosh, I don't have to stay in banking. Like I could pursue something else. And it sounds so silly, but I thought, oh no, I'm in this now. I'm good at it. This is my career.
Stick to it until, yeah.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I had dreams in high school of what my dream jobs were, and banking was not it. Again, I enjoyed it. It was great, learned tons, but it wasn't what lit me up like so much that I wanted to continue doing that. So of course, being in Shannon style, my first step was to focus on my career and figure out, okay, what does that look like? And that's when I worked with my first coach I'd ever worked with. I worked with an executive coach, and I came out of that with a dream to have my own business where one day I would help other professionals live happier, healthier, more fulfilling lives. And it blew my mind because I didn't ever really think, oh, yes, I want to be an entrepreneur. That wasn't something I'd necessarily thought about. But after doing all the exercises with this coach, that's what came out. So I put that aside. I was like, okay, that's my 10-year goal. We'll do that within 10 years. And then I started looking at, okay, what else? And the one other part of my life that I was never good at was managing my stress. So the well-being, the healthy, do I feel healthy? I wasn't good at that. I never exercised. I didn't really eat super healthy. I, the tactics I tried if I was stressed was just to tell myself, stop being so stressed, or, which obviously doesn't work. So that was my next area, was really improving my well-being, including my mental well-being as well. So doing therapy and exercising, eating better, and mindfulness. And I started all of these great routines that I now do consistently. And then the third piece was the fulfillment piece. And that came later when my 2030 dream of having my own business actually happened in 2021. So it came true 9 years early, and I was able to launch my business, and it's just been phenomenal since then. And now I can say a big heck yes to all three questions, even though they're still tricky some days, especially the health part. It's still a big challenge for me,
Yeah.
But I know its value now and how it can really help me with my stress and anxiety.
Woo, there's a lot to unpack there, but I am curious. So how did you start? How did you make it? How did you reduce from 10 year to 1 year?
So one exercise I did, and I actually talk about it in my book, and it comes from Rachel Hollis, who's an author. There's some controversy around her, but I do find her books, before the controversy started, her books were actually very helpful to me. So I think the first book was Girl, Stop Apologizing that I read of hers. And she basically talks about manifestation, right? And how once it's one thing to set goals, but really a lot of our behavior is driven through our subconscious. So we
Mm.
don't know we're even doing it. Like I like to tell people when you go shower, you don't think about it. You're just in a routine. You wash your hair, you wash your body. We don't have to think about it anymore. So with manifestation, it's similar. So the exercise she had was you write out your 10 dreams that you want in like 10 years, but you write them out as if they've happened and with really big descriptive words so that you can really feel them.
Right.
And I did that. I wrote out my 10 dreams and then I wrote them out every single day. And at least Monday to Friday, weekends, maybe not every single day, but Monday to Friday, I wrote my dreams out every day on paper or in my phone or on my computer, but I would write them out every day. And next thing I knew, an ad popped up to become a health and life coach, which I'd never even heard of a health coach. I was like, what is that? And when I read the description, it was basically to help people live happier, healthier, more fulfilling lives. And and it was like, wow, I probably never would have ever even paid attention to that had it not been ingrained. This 10-year dream was being written down every single day. And so that really started me on the journey to then go and getting all my coaching certifications and then start doing it on the side so I could see, first of all, if it did light me up. And second of all, if I could make money from it so that I could leave my corporate job, which I left a few months later.
So you took the course, and then few months later, you left your corporate job to focus on it full time. At the time, were you already making money from coaching?
I was, yeah. Yeah. Not a ton, but enough to know it was possible and to give me hope. And that's the other thing we need, right? We need the hope to be able to go after our dreams or go after more of what we want. And then I also had a really great support system. So my husband is way more conservative. I'm a risk taker. He's not really. So we balance each other out. And the day I told him, look, I want to spend this money to go back to school, you know, in the morning, it was virtual primarily. So I said, I want to go back to school and become a coach. And it's going to cost X amount of money, but here's my plan. This is what I want to do with it. And I eventually also want to go into organizations and speak and talk to them about how their employees can live happier, healthier, more fulfilling lives. And he looked at me and I was waiting for oh, Shannon,
Are
like, I
you
don't know.
sure?
And I was making really good money. Like my job, I was making really good money. I had great colleagues, great leadership team. The company I was working at was super supportive. Um, so I was waiting for him to say, you're crazy. Like, don't do this. You're going to be throwing everything away. And he looked at me and he said, this is exactly what you've been looking for. And just
And
hearing that, I knew I had his support, and that really made a difference too. So whether it's a partner or a friend or whoever, but having somebody believe in you is so important because anytime you start something new, your self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, it comes really high some days. So you need that external person to help you get through the tough days.
in your opinion, if your husband wasn't around, or he was sort of opposing to the idea, how would that pan out? Like, what would happen? Like,
Well, one thing to know about me is I probably still would have gone ahead and done it.
Wait, you would go and do it, or you'd stop and procrastinate and then just get back on it once you feel the time is right. Which one?
No, I probably still would have gone ahead. That's one down. I guess it's a plus and a negative for me is I've sometimes have like the don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
I love
So
that. See, that's how I operate to certain times to certain people. If they don't deserve, yeah, you know.
yeah. Yeah. It would have made me sad if he hadn't have supported me, but at the same time too, kind of like Michael Jordan. I don't know how much you know about Michael Jordan, but like Michael Jordan, if somebody annoyed him, it was fuel for him to do even better. And that sometimes is my thing too, right? If you think I can't do it or if
Oh
you're like not
gosh,
supportive,
yeah.
watch me.
Watch
Like
me.
watch me.
I'll take a picture for you. I love that.
Yeah.
That has been. I don't show that side of me often, but it's the same with me with podcasts. So um yeah, like in my group, Malaysia is not really big on podcasting, but I knew that I wanted to talk, and I think one of my strength would be connecting with people. So I'm tapping into that. Like you said, I'm not even there's some things that I'm still grasping. Okay, I'm hearing myself as well. Um but yeah, heck, I'm already in my 30s, so let's do it. I've spent 12 years in the corporate world, which I am still 9 to 5. I still have that. But I also want to be fulfilled. And I have an idea of where I want to go. But with what you just said, writing it down, I've always believed in the power of manifestation. But I think you just unlock again a different part of my brain and psyche that I used to be that person when I was a kid. When I want something, I will get it. Like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go and get it. But right now, societal conditioning, yeah,
Yeah.
you just settle. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very
Oh, I
dangerous.
love this, Nicolette. This is your time. It's your time to do it.
Thank you. Thank you for being my support system. Like, my parents right now, they're like, okay, I'll see you do it. Okay, let's go ahead, because I'm in Kuala Lumpur, the capital, so they're back in hometown. So they see me. So maybe if they see me on the TV, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's my daughter.
Yeah.
Cross.
Yeah. And it's funny, even for me, like my parents are very traditional roles. My dad's a lawyer, my mom's a teacher. And it's like, oh, I want to be an author. I want to be a speaker. I want to be a coach. And it's like, even people are like, what the heck is a coach? Like, what do you
Yeah.
do? It's really odd. It's an odd thing. I used to even think when I used to hear the term life coach, and this sounds horrible, but years ago when I heard life coach, I was like, okay, really?
Don't they have
What is a life
English better than
coach?
you?
Yeah. Like, who needs a life coach? It just sounds silly. And I used to, and I still struggle with that term sometimes because I know the meaning some people have about it. But, one of my clients was a former competitive skier and did really amazing. And she even said to me, she was like, I never would have been a skier without a coach. Like there's no athlete is an athlete without a coach. Everyone needs a coach. Actors, a lot of actors have coaches, right? And so it's one of these things that's yes, we have bosses, we have mentors, but it's a bit different. And sometimes they have biased views, right? Especially if it's someone internal to your company, they're going to be biased. And it's so if you can have a coach that's an unbiased third party, whether it's a formal relationship or not, they want what's best for you and they're going to push you and challenge you and get you to step outside your comfort zone, which is exactly what happens in the sports world, right? With coaches. So it's the same thing. So I'm also would love to see more and more people, get a coach or get that mentor, that support person that's going to help push them, and also lift them up too, right? Because we also need help with our confidence at certain times in our lives.
Yeah, that's so true.
What's in your opinion? Is there a difference between coach and mentor?
I think the one difference, and again, everybody's different, but the one main difference I would say is mentors will give more advice. A
Right.
coach, and again, coach, all the coaches are different, but my coaching style and what I resonate with most with my coaches I work with is it's not about people giving advice. It's more about, as a coach, I ask questions to
Ooh,
help my clients uncover the answers because they have the answers inside them.
they already have the
They're
answer.
there. They're
Somebody.
there. So it's not me telling anybody what to do.
Mm,
Again, I may go there if they want my advice, but really my job is to help my clients uncover what is already inside of them and overcome any fears, any obstacles so that they can, live a happier life.
beautiful. Thank you for that, Shannon.
Welcome.
A lot of people would benefit from that because I myself struggle sometimes, coach and mentor, and I use that interchangeably. And right now, I think that really made sense. Mentor is somebody is like okay, you can. I'll give you advice. So if this you are in this path, for example, you're a financial analyst, where should you go, right? And then coach is like, um, what is it that you want to achieve for yourself? So
Mhm.
throwing the question back to them
Yeah, exactly.
and really look inside. I think that's the
Yeah.
most important thing. Right. Let's see. Okay. I think we did touch a little bit, but okay. You mentioned to live more authentically. So how do you think we can do that?
So there's in the book there's the 3 P's that hold us back. And they are perfectionism, people pleasing, and perception, which in that case it's caring too much what others think.
Oh,
So sometimes we don't speak up, we don't do something because we're worried about being judged, we're worried about looking silly or stupid or that we're not good enough or smart enough. Uh, so we care about the perception piece. Sometimes we agree to things because we're a people pleaser, right? So, somebody comes to us and says, "Hey, can you help bake these cookies for that bake sale on Saturday?" And even though you have no time in your schedule at all, you're going to say yes because you don't want to disappoint people. So sometimes we have a fear of disappointing people and letting them down. And then the other P is perfectionism. And high achievers have a lot of this, and myself included. And we set the expectations and the bar really high. And so we strive for perfect. And perfection doesn't exist.
right.
It doesn't exist. And as Sheryl Sandberg says, done is better than perfect, right? If we're constantly trying to perfect something, we may never get it out there. If you waited to be perfect for interviewing, you may never have launched your podcast.
Exactly.
So yeah. So it's like, artist, if an artist waits for their painting to be perfect, they may never get it out into the world. So, so those 3 things can hold us back. So the more you can just not care and just focus on your internal thing, what will make you happy, what will make you proud, and worry about that versus what society or anybody else is telling you, the more authentic you can be. And it's interesting. I couldn't do it until I left the corporate world. I couldn't be vulnerable. Now I'm told, I'm constantly told now, wow, you're still vulnerable. You share such personal stories on social media. They're like, wow,
But
you're,
right,
yeah.
do that. Like, yeah.
And the reason I do it is because if it can help one person get through a tough day, then
Oh,
that is what makes me happy. So yes, I may
yes.
still feel embarrassed. I may still be like, yeah, I'm going to get judged. People are going to think I'm ridiculous. And I posted a video yesterday of me singing karaoke on Saturday, and I'm not a great singer, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And And it's kind of one of these things. And then people are like, wow, like you're inspiring, this and that. And that was not the case for so many years. I never would have been able to do it because I was afraid. Oh, what will my boss think? Or what will my clients think? Or what will work think? Will I get in trouble for saying this? And I held myself back for a very long time.
That must be liberating.
It
Like,
is.
to come back to what you were saying, because right now I'm doing virtual podcasting. So right now I'm starting to move to make it a hybrid with a face to face. So my target was my close friends, and these people, they have something because they're also in their own industries. Then I asked them because they've already seen me. I've already started putting clips out there of my own podcast. This clips like this with other guests. So a few I did ask, and then I asked them. So do you wanna be a guest on my show? What? Are you serious? But I'm a very private person. Like, I don't. But when we're together, they talk a lot, like A to Z, and I'm like, okay, so I think you have some content. You have substance. Let's get it out there. Like, for example, how do you deal with stress? Because everybody deals with stress. You don't have to be an expert to tell that. I mean, it can be from your own point of view. So they're saying, but Nick, I am scared. Let's wait for the other people to do it first. Okay, now that's the point where everything, it comes full circle. It's like, wow. And for me to be able to actually overcome that and put myself out there. So that's me, like, okay, Nicolette, you're not doing a crap job. So you're kind of okay, because sometimes you feel like you're just trudging along and then like la 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 la. I think you cannot help but think like, am I really on the right path? And because you see all those eyes staring back at you, and some may clap, but some may clap in silence. Some may like, who does she think she is, right? But like whatever you said just resonated, and that it just solidified everything that I believe in my core. So thank you, Shannon. And having all of this guests, you guys are my life coaches, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
Like, I'm
true.
getting really like the golden nuggets from each and every one of you. Like, thank you. Gosh, okay.
That's amazing. That's great.
Right, okay. So, your book. Who is your book for?
My book is for anyone who feels stuck in their career or their life, or they feel they've been holding themselves back, or really just that they know they're capable of so much more, or they want to live a more authentic life. And so this book will help any of those people to create their dream career in life.
Where is it? Is it available on audiobook as well? Where can you get it?
It will be coming on audiobook.
I think
It's
by the
available
time
on
this airs, it's already out.
yeah, not the audiobook yet. The audiobook
Okay,
hasn't been
okay.
recorded yet, but
Alright.
the book will be it's available on Amazon. So it's hardcover, paperback, and Kindle version available on Amazon.
Wow. You're, I think, guest number 5. I don't know. I think guest number 10. Not every, okay, but you guys are writing books, especially after having this major turnaround in your career, and I am also compelled to do that. So
Yes, you should.
yeah, maybe. No, not maybe. Yes, I will. 2024.
Yes, there you go.
2024, maybe mid 2024. Yeah, we'll see. Definitely, it's in the pipeline.
Amazing. Amazing. Do it. I'd love to read it.
It's like you have me talking to it and like reaffirming to myself, Nicolette, you need to do it. You should do it. You will do it.
Yes, you did it. You just did the thing to changing should to will. It's huge. Huge. Changing try to will. Those two things, if we can change our shoulds and our tries to will, we are way more likely to follow through. So you already did it. You changed it yourself. I didn't even have to point it out.
Thank you. Okay, so Shannon, we're gonna pivot to self-worth question because that is the essence of my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned this just now. So, in your opinion, how can mindfulness and self-awareness practices contribute to self-discovery and a healthier self-concept?
Ooh, good question. So I think part of our challenge is we get caught in a downward cycle. So let's say you get a text message or an email or someone says a comment
Oh,
and it
yes.
throws off your day, right? And let's just picture
I
it
imagine
starts when
my
you wake up in the
Spotify.
morning, right? Oh yeah, a negative review,
Yeah.
a bad performance review, the list is endless of the things we can be told, right? And some people are really great at being like, okay, whatever.
Mm.
Other people, myself included, it can be really personal, right? And you take it to heart and you have two choices. One is you can go down this downward spiral and keep going down and down and down and just feeling worse and worse and worse and wallowing in it. And the other, it's not to say it didn't happen. It's not to say your feelings don't matter, but it's to acknowledge it, notice, okay, you know what? That's making me feel really bad right now. Doesn't feel good. But also to remind yourself, it's likely about them, not you. So most
Ooh,
negative comments we get
ooh,
aren't about
ooh,
us.
ooh,
It's
ooh,
about
ooh.
stuff that's going on in their lives,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. And they're projecting.
They're projecting.
Yes.
And then in that moment, the mindfulness piece, coming back to your point, that can get us to stop, right? It can stop the downward spiral. It may not bring us all the way back up again, but it can stop us from continuing to go down. So if we can meditate or even just, do some breathing exercises, but anything to stop us from going to get back to the present moment, that's really where we want to be. We want to try and get back to that present moment. And that is what mindfulness does. And for some people too, it's, exercise. But I've had a client who last week she was really grumpy. She was having a really awful day. And she went and meditated and it turned her whole day around. And
Mm.
so, I asked her, I go, how long did you meditate for? She said, 15 minutes. So it doesn't mean you don't have to go do an hour workout or take an hour and do something. It can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes that can just get you back to the present moment and get you out of your head. That's the other thing. We're in our heads too much and we need to get out of our heads more.
What are your top tips for meditation? Like, what do you do to meditate?
So I use an app. I'm not great at meditating on my own, so I will meditate. I use Headspace right now, but I
We
like,
can ask help, right? It's okay.
yeah, yeah. And I tell people I suck at meditating. I'm not good at it. My mind constantly drifts all the time. Like when it says like, oh, if your thoughts have drifted, remind them to come back. I'm like, that is me every single time.
Yeah.
So I'm not good at it, but I notice the benefits. So that's what I tell people too. You don't have to be good at something to still get the benefits from it. So it's still, so I'll do 10 minutes of meditation. That's my practice.
Right.
And after 10 minutes, yeah, I feel good and I can move on with my day. So I usually start my day with meditation with 10 minutes. And then I usually move into, I usually write 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for that happened in the last 24 hours, but very specific things. And then my third part is I write out those 10 dreams. So that is part of my morning routine are those 3 things:
To,
meditation,
to this day?
gratitude, 10 dreams. Yep. I've been doing it since 2020 I started. So I'm entering my 4th year now of doing that as my morning practice.
It's never too late, Nicolette. You can start tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I was in my late 30s when I started doing all this. It's not too late. Never too late.
So, what is your heart's greatest wish?
I want people to know that they deserve happiness. And I want people to chase their happy. I think as we grow older, and even when I tell people, I want to help people live happier lives, they're like, "Ugh, that's fluffy. That's, oh my gosh, like it sounds ridiculous. We're adults now." I'm like, no, we should. We want kids to be happy. Well, the same should apply as adults. So I want adults to start living more authentic lives, to share more of their struggles and the messy, because that's how we'll all learn and benefit from one another. And I really just want everyone to chase their happy at the end of the day.
Thank you. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
I'm going to pull out my book for a second because it's in here. I have a quote at the start of my book, and I want to make sure I say it correctly. But it says, and I wish I knew who said it's anonymous, but it says, "Let no one cage who you were born to be." And I love that. Which is why my book is called Breaking Free, because, breaking free from the cage, from the constraints or expectations we put on ourselves. So, yeah, let no one cage who you were born to be.
I'm internalizing. I'm feeling it like in my bones. Like, thank you. Okay, so what keeps you up at night? Do you sleep well? Or you think of, things?
For me, it's really a lot of the time it's my kids. If they're struggling or going through anything, it used to be work. I will say in the corporate world, work kept me up at night all the time because, again, I'm a high achiever. I put big expectations on myself. Now, yes, I still have work come up and, I still think about it. But more than anything, it's really like stuff with my kids. If something's going on with them, that's what wakes me up at night.
Well, I mean, I think it's better. I mean, because your kids are your priority now, so
Yes.
it is apt to say that you think about them. If it's working
Yes.
more than your kids, something must be
Exactly.
off, right?
Yeah. And that was me for a long time. Not to say obviously my kids have always been a top priority, but work they competed a lot. And now my kids are definitely my top priority. I have more time and energy for them now because I'm doing more of what I love. And I've also learned to manage my stress, which I needed to really learn how to do as well, which my kids actually pointed out to me. Sometimes it takes a kid telling you what to do that you live for you to listen.
Yeah. Well, okay. Thank you so much. Okay, one more question, Shannon. So, if you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
I think it would be that you are all amazing. And when you can live more authentically, then your amazing can shine.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you, Nicolette.
I think we're perfect on time, and I think we wrap up the session beautifully. And I would like to also, because I'm not sure, like you said, I've always been an advocate of if I cannot help 1% of the world, if I just help 1% right now, at any point, whenever they see this video or all my other podcasts, I think I've lived my purpose. So, having said that, if there are people out there that actually want to reach out to you because they gravitate towards you, because like you said, there are a lot of different coaches outside. How can they reach out to you?
Sure. So they can go to my website, www.shannontalbot.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Shannon Talbot, or Instagram, Shannon Talbot _coaching. And I have free quizzes, free workshops I offer, so they can check out all of those through my links.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shannon, for that sharing.
Thank you.
It has been a very wonderful experience to me. Well, we'll keep in touch. I have you on Instagram, and I think I'll add you up on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome.
So
Perfect.
it's really nice. I get to make new friends. So if ever I'm around in Canada, or if you
Yeah.
fly in to Malaysia, let me
Yeah.
know.
Amazing. Yeah, that's awesome, Nicolette. And keep me posted on you chasing your dreams.
I will. Thank you so much. Thank you for cheering me on. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicolette.
All right. So you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. You too. All
Bye
right. Take care. Bye.
bye.